It was only in battle with humanity that I knew real terror. Versh had never seen a species like humans before. From the observation deck of the Coalition cruiser, he watched their small, blue planet spin slowly in the void of space. The Coalition, a vast alliance of many starfaring civilizations, had faced many intelligent species. Each one had its strengths, its weaknesses, its patterns. But humans were different. They looked fragile. Their bodies were soft compared to the armored exoskeletons of the Krell or the massive bone plates of the Vorten. Their eyes were unprotected. Their skin could burn under their sun. Their ships were slower than most the Coalition had seen. At first glance, there was nothing terrifying about them. Versh leaned closer to the viewport and studied the cities glowing faintly on the planet's night side. Tiny points of light blinked like fireflies. This was the home of billions. There were buildings that reached into the sky, streets full of movement, and lights that glowed warmly in the darkness. From space, the humans seemed peaceful. Reports from earlier encounters had shown humans as talkative and emotional, yet strangely careful. They were willing to argue for hours over small decisions, yet could organize massive projects in a way the Coalition found confusing. Versh had read the reports of diplomats like John Carter and Claire Benson. Their words had been calm, polite, and firm. They spoke of compromise, of mutual benefit. Versh had thought this was weakness. "This species is odd," Versh said quietly to his aide, a small, floating drone called Trin. "They are soft, yet they resist in ways we cannot predict. It is curious." Trin's sensors scanned the planet. Analysis: humans show low physical power, limited technological warfare compared to the Coalition fleets, but high adaptability and coordination. Probability of resistance to limited pressure, moderate to low. Versh shook his head. "Moderate to low, you underestimate them. I see something different, something not measured by your calculations." Trin's lights blinked in confusion. "Analysis complete. Recommendation: limited engagement should achieve cooperation." Versh did not respond. He had seen many species fall under the pressure of the Coalition. They either surrendered, adapted slowly, or destroyed themselves. Humans might follow the same path, but something in the way they moved, in the way they spoke, in the way they survived, felt unusual. The Coalition decided to test humanity with small shows of force. Versh was assigned to observe the operation. "You will see how easily they bend," his superiors had said. "They are soft. They will crumble. Report everything." The first mission was simple. A Coalition patrol ship was sent to orbit one of the outer colonies. The colony was small, a few cities spread over a green-blue continent. It had no large defense fleet, no major weapons stations. According to the Coalition's data, it would surrender within hours. Versh observed quietly as the patrol entered orbit. He had a front-row seat. The human colony's sensors detected the ship almost immediately. Lights blinked, alarms sounded, and the humans began sending signals. Versh watched as the humans activated communication satellites and beamed messages into space. The messages were strange. They were not frantic or panicked. They were calm and measured. "This is the government of the colony of Orion. We request you identify yourselves and state your purpose," one message read. Versh laughed softly. "They are polite. They are asking questions instead of hiding or attacking." Trin floated beside him. "Probability of surrender now high." Versh shook his head. "You do not understand. They are not afraid. There is determination in their words." The Coalition patrol fired a warning shot near the colony. Nothing destructive, just a demonstration of power. Most species would have cowered, would have sent envoys begging for mercy. But the humans responded with strategy instead of fear. The colony's commander, a man named Alex Ramirez, coordinated a response within minutes. Civilian ships were organized to evacuate, while small defense units moved into position. The humans were not unarmed. They had no massive fleets, but their technology was clever, adapted for speed, for strategy, for survival. Versh was intrigued. He had never seen such coordination from a species that appeared so soft. "Why do they not panic?" he muttered. "Why do they not break?" Trin analyzed again. Behavior does not match known patterns. Humans prioritize strategy over self-preservation. Emotional control variable high. Versh frowned. "High, they are terrified, but they hide it. They are fighting not with their strength, but with their minds." They are different. Over the next few weeks, Versh observed more human behavior. He watched their cities. He watched their communications. He watched their military exercises, which were small but precise. The humans trained hard. They prepared for situations the coalition had not imagined. He studied two humans in particular, Claire Benson, a diplomat, and John Carter, a fleet strategist. He had intercepted their messages, their planning notes. Claire spoke with warmth and care, but her words could cut through arguments like a blade. John Carter planned with patience and creativity. Their people listened to them, but they did not blindly obey. Versh began to feel an unfamiliar sensation, unease. Humans were not predictable. Their minds were not easily read by coalition sensors. And yet they did not seem violent by nature. They were defensive, cautious, clever, but not cruel. One day, Versh decided to visit a human city in secret. He took a small observation shuttle and entered the atmosphere of one of the major cities. The air was thin but breathable. Humans walked the streets, hurrying to work, laughing, arguing, living. They did not look like warriors. They did not look like conquerors. They looked fragile. He observed a street market. A woman, Megan Ford, sold food to children and adults alike. Her hands were steady, her smile calm. Versh noticed a small patrol of human guards nearby. They were armed, yes, but they moved with purpose, not aggression. Their eyes scanned carefully, noting threats but not overreacting. Versh's sensors could not pick up fear in them. There was caution, yes, but also courage. He could not understand it. Why would such small, fragile beings survive in such a vast and dangerous galaxy? Back on the observation deck of the cruiser, Versh recorded his findings. Humans are soft yet resilient. They lack physical strength compared to most species in the coalition. They lack large fleets or heavy weapons, and yet they survive. They plan, they coordinate. They endure, they are unpredictable. Trin floated silently. Unpredictability is dangerous in military terms. Recommendation, increase pressure and measure response. Versh shook his head. No, you cannot measure them yet. Their strength is not in what you see. Their strength is in their will, in their minds, in their ability to continue even when everything is against them. The coalition prepared for a second, larger test. They would send a fleet, enough to intimidate a small human colony into surrender. Versh watched as ships gathered in formation, calculating attack angles, planning strikes. But he did not feel confidence. He felt curiosity and something else, a tiny seed of fear. Not of the humans themselves, but of what would happen if the humans did not surrender. What would they do? What would they fight for? As the fleet prepared to leave, Versh thought about the humans on their tiny blue planet. He thought about Alex Ramirez, Claire Benson, John Carter, Megan Ford, and all the others he had seen and studied. They were ordinary in appearance, yet extraordinary in action. He realized with a shiver he could not explain that this mission might not go as planned. And if the humans chose to fight, the coalition would see something no one had seen before. Versh leaned on the railing of the observation deck, staring at the tiny glowing cities below. "We will see," he whispered. "We will see what they are made of." For the first time in his long career, Versh felt a knot in his chest. Not anger, not excitement, fear. Not fear of their weapons, not fear of their size or speed, but fear of their will, their determination, their refusal to break under pressure. And he did not yet know just how far the humans were willing to go to protect each other, to survive, to prove that their kind would endure. Versh turned from the viewport and began to prepare his report. He wrote carefully, describing the humans as they appeared, noting their patterns, their habits, their strengths, and their weaknesses. But as he wrote, he could not shake the feeling that the humans were hiding something, a power no technology could measure, no sensor could detect, and no calculations could predict. He would learn soon enough. And when he did, he suspected that the coalition would face a reality far different from what it had imagined. Humans were soft, humans were fragile, but humans were dangerous, not because of their weapons, not because of their numbers, but because they refused to give up. And Versh did not yet know that he had just witnessed the first glimmer of a species that could change everything in the galaxy. The coalition fleet moved quietly through the darkness of space. Versh watched from the command deck of the lead cruiser. He could see the human planet in the distance, a small blue dot surrounded by clouds and light. The coalition ships were large and powerful, filled with weapons that could destroy the human cities in minutes. "Everything is ready," the fleet commander said. "We will show them our strength. They will submit without a fight." Versh nodded slowly, but inside he felt unease. The humans had already surprised him once. He remembered their calm words, their careful organization. Something about their behavior unsettled him. As the fleet moved closer, the humans detected them almost immediately. Their sensors were smaller and slower, but they worked quickly. Warnings were sent from the planet to all ships in orbit. Alex Ramirez, the colony commander, was at his station. He had a clear view of the approaching fleet. He saw their size, their firepower, and he smiled, not because he was overconfident, but because he had a plan. "We know they are coming," Alex said to his officers. "Stay calm, follow the plan, we are not helpless." Megan Ford, in charge of a small squadron of defense ships, nodded. "We are ready, sir. They will not break us." The first encounter happened near a small mining colony on the planet's outer edge. The Coalition patrol had already made a demonstration of power before, but now the full fleet was present. The humans had no hope of matching it in firepower. Their ships were smaller, slower, and lightly armed, yet they moved with precision. Small human fighters darted between the larger ships, using the planet's gravity to their advantage. They did not attack recklessly. They attacked carefully, focusing on the Coalition ships' weak points. Versh watched, fascinated. "How?" he muttered. "How can they move like this?" One human pilot, Ethan Cole, maneuvered his fighter around a Coalition cruiser. The ship's energy shields were strong, but Ethan found a small gap near the engine. He fired a well-aimed shot. The Coalition ship shuddered but was not destroyed. It was not about destroying the fleet yet. It was about control, about survival, about testing the enemy. The Coalition was confused. They expected panic, surrender, or disorganized resistance. Instead, the humans moved as one. Their fleet was small, but it acted as if it were a single organism. Versh recorded everything. His data streams filled with unexpected readings. Human coordination did not match any Coalition algorithm. Their timing was perfect. Their communication was clear, simple, and fast. The Coalition decided to attack the mining colony directly. A cruiser fired its main weapon at the surface. The blast was enormous. The colony shivered under the energy strike. Dust and debris rose into the thin atmosphere, but the humans did not scream. They did not scatter in fear. They moved with purpose. Automated defenses activated, shielding civilians. Emergency transport ships lifted people away. The colonists were evacuated efficiently without chaos. Alex Ramirez oversaw everything calmly. He guided each evacuation vessel, communicating with his officers. Megan Ford's squadron flew overhead, intercepting Coalition fighters that tried to attack the transports. Every human ship had a role, every person knew what to do. Versh had never seen anything like it. In the Coalition, if a city faced destruction, civilians would panic. Soldiers would flee or fight without order. But humans moved with courage. They fought with a purpose beyond mere survival. The Coalition ships began firing more aggressively. One cruiser focused on a human transport. A beam of energy shot toward the vessel. It was too slow to hit. Ethan Cole's fighter had already intercepted the path, forcing the energy beam to miss. Another human, Laura King, piloted a small craft that jammed the Coalition communications temporarily. The Coalition ships could not coordinate their attack properly. They fired blindly, missing most of their targets. Versh frowned. They are not strong, yet they are clever. They do not panic. Their minds, they are dangerous. The Coalition fleet tried to change tactics. They used speed, numbers, and sheer firepower. Still, the humans adapted. Each time the Coalition tried a new strategy, the humans found a counter. They used the planet, asteroids, and even debris from destroyed ships to their advantage. Humans did not act like the other species Versh had observed. Most would run, hide, or surrender when faced with overwhelming force. But humans learned. They studied their enemy in the middle of battle and changed their plans instantly. Versh saw Megan Ford's squadron draw Coalition ships into a trap. Smaller human ships hid behind a moon, then attacked from multiple directions at once. The Coalition cruisers were forced to retreat, unable to hit the small fighters that seemed to vanish and reappear unpredictably. "Why do they fight like this?" Versh whispered to Trin. "They do not fight for territory, they do not fight for conquest, they fight to survive." And yet there is more, there is courage, there is will. On the ground, human soldiers prepared for a possible invasion. Ethan Cole and Laura King were not only pilots but had knowledge of ground tactics. Volunteers were trained to defend key locations, to evacuate civilians, and to hold positions long enough for the planet's defenses to act. The Coalition decided to try a more direct attack on the ground. Landing ships carried heavily armed troops to the colony's surface. They expected little resistance. After all, humans were weak in hand-to-hand combat compared to the coalition species, who were stronger, faster, and armed with superior weapons. But the humans were ready. Alex Ramirez's instructions were clear. Protect civilians, delay the enemy, survive at all costs. Human soldiers moved like ghosts in the city streets, disappearing and reappearing, using the terrain to their advantage. Versh observed through a holographic feed as human forces ambushed coalition troops. Small groups of humans used clever traps, decoys, and misdirection. Coalition soldiers, trained to overpower with brute force, found themselves confused and frustrated. One human, Laura King, led a team into a narrow alley and triggered a trap that caused a coalition transport to crash into a building. Another human, Michael Lee, diverted coalition forces into open streets where defensive squads were waiting. Every move was calculated, yet appeared simple. Versh realized the humans were not just fighting, they were teaching themselves, adapting in real time, and using fear to strengthen their decisions rather than weaken them. The coalition had never faced anything like this. Their ships and troops could destroy entire cities quickly, but humans were not typical cities. Humans moved, learned, and adapted. They had weaknesses, yes, but every weakness was quickly covered by clever tactics. Even when coalition ships bombed an area, the humans did not surrender. They took losses, adjusted, and continued. Versh watched as Ethan Cole, injured in a small skirmish, returned to his fighter and continued to fight, ignoring pain and exhaustion. He could not understand it. No other species had this. No other species continued to act with clarity under such pressure. Fear would have destroyed most civilizations long ago. Humans used fear as fuel. By the end of the first day, the coalition fleet had to withdraw. They had lost ships, been forced into retreat, and were unsure of what the humans might do next. Versh felt a chill in his chest. "They are different," he said quietly. "We underestimated them. We cannot predict them with technology. We cannot defeat them with force alone. And worst of all, they are willing to endure anything to survive." Trin's sensors continued analyzing. Damage to coalition moderate, losses unexpected, probability of surrender after first engagement low. Versh shook his head. Low, they will not surrender. They will not break, they will fight again, and the more we push, the stronger they become. That night, Versh watched the human cities from orbit. Fires from skirmishes burned in some areas, but the lights of the cities remained. Humans moved among the rubble, helping each other. Civilians rescued the injured, soldiers organized new defenses, and leaders like Alex Ramirez coordinated everything with calm determination. Versh realized something new. He had seen many species, many civilizations crumble under stress, under pressure, under attack. But humans endured, they adapted, they learned, and they fought not because they had no choice, but because they chose to fight. For the first time, Versh felt real fear. Not of destruction, not of physical power, but of what humans could do if pushed further. The coalition had expected an easy submission. They had expected humans to panic, to scatter, to surrender. Instead, they had met resistance that was intelligent, organized, and unyielding. Versh stared at the planet below and whispered, almost to himself, "This is only the beginning, and I do not yet know what they are truly capable of." The humans had won the first engagement without a single overwhelming victory. They had survived, adapted, and outsmarted a stronger enemy. Versh knew the coalition would not give up, and the humans would continue to resist. A storm was coming. Not a literal storm, but a war unlike any Versh had ever witnessed. A war that would test humans in ways he could not yet imagine, and a war that would teach the coalition something terrifying. Versh finally understood one truth. In battle with humanity, the unexpected was normal, weakness was misleading, and courage was the greatest weapon of all. And the humans had it in abundance. The coalition fleet withdrew into deep space, licking its wounds and reassessing the humans. Versh watched their retreat from the command deck of his cruiser, a strange mixture of awe and fear growing inside him. He could not stop thinking about the humans' clever tactics, their calm under fire, and the way they seemed to anticipate the coalition's every move. "They are too organized," he muttered to Trin. "They are weak, fragile, and yet they survive against everything we throw at them." "I do not understand it." Trin's sensors scanned the humans again. Behavior remains unpredictable, probability of surrender near zero, adaptation rate exceeds all previous observations. Versh frowned. Exactly, they are learning too fast. Each time we attack, they adjust. Each time we hit, they find a new way to survive. The humans, meanwhile, were far from idle. On their planet, Alex Ramirez walked through the streets of the capital city. Fires from previous skirmishes still smoked in some districts, but citizens moved with determination. They were repairing, reorganizing, and preparing. Every loss teaches us something, Alex told his officers. Every failure makes us stronger. We will survive. We will protect our people. Megan Ford, preparing her squadron for the next engagement, nodded. We learned a lot yesterday. Today we hit them harder, not with more force, but with better moves. Ethan Cole, still recovering from minor injuries, checked his fighter's systems. We know how they move now. We know their weak points. Let's see if they can handle a little counter-surprise. Versh studied this from orbit. Every action of the humans seemed small and simple, yet it carried layers of planning. They were learning quickly. They were already improving on their last performance. The Coalition could not understand it. No other species adapted so quickly under pressure. The Krell, for example, were physically strong but slow to change tactics. The Vorten used overwhelming force but never clever tricks. Humans were something new entirely. The next engagement began near the asteroid belt orbiting the human home planet. Coalition forces moved to block human supply lines, believing that cutting off resources would force them to surrender. But the humans anticipated this. John Carter, coordinating fleet movements from the Planetary Command Center, had a plan. Small human ships slipped between asteroids, moving like shadows. They carried supplies, scouts, and even decoy units. Coalition sensors detected some of them, but most slipped through. Versh's eyes widened. They use their environment. They hide in plain sight. They are teaching themselves strategy while under fire. How? One human squad, led by Laura King, used an asteroid cluster to trap a Coalition cruiser. The cruiser, confident in its speed and size, tried to escape, but human ships attacked from multiple angles. Its shields weakened, systems failed, and it was forced to retreat. Another human, Michael Lee, piloted a small ship into the path of a Coalition strike group, luring them into a narrow corridor between asteroids. Coalition ships collided or misfired. Humans watched from a distance, keeping their own losses minimal while forcing the enemy into mistakes. Versh felt something new, respect, but it was mingled with fear. The humans were fragile, yes, but their minds made them dangerous. Their willingness to adapt, to endure, to take risks without losing control, it was terrifying. On the ground, humans continued their preparation. Volunteers trained daily, learning from simulations, practicing ambushes, and coordinating with fleet movements. Even civilians were ready. They knew how to protect themselves, how to repair damage, how to aid soldiers. Alex Ramirez walked through a makeshift command center, watching screens filled with maps, fleet positions, and real-time data. Every mistake we made yesterday has a solution today, he said to his officers. Every attack they make gives us information. Use it. Learn from it. The Coalition underestimated the humans at every step. They expected surrender after the first skirmish. They expected fear, panic, confusion. What they found was calm, precise, and intelligent resistance. Versh knew the Coalition would strike again with more force, but he also knew something else. Humans did not fight for power or domination. They fought to survive. They fought to protect each other, and that made them more dangerous than anything he had ever faced. The next major battle erupted over the planet's northern hemisphere. Coalition ships approached in full formation, weapons ready, intent on destroying key human cities to force surrender. But the humans were ready. Small human fighters darted between massive Coalition cruisers, distracting their weapons. Ground-based missile systems fired from hidden locations, forcing Coalition ships to dodge repeatedly. Human strategy was not random. It was calculated, flexible, and constantly changing. Ethan Cole led a daring attack on one of the larger Coalition cruisers. Using speed and precision, he hit weak points while avoiding direct confrontation. Another human, Laura King, piloted a small ship that jammed Coalition sensors, causing confusion in their fleet. Versh watched, unable to tear his eyes away. They are learning faster than we can adapt, he whispered. Faster than we can plan. They are dangerous in ways we cannot predict. The Coalition attempted to overwhelm the humans with brute force. Ships fired energy beams, dropped heavy bombs, and tried to land troops on the planet's surface. But every human move countered the attack. Civilians were evacuated efficiently, soldiers set traps, and fleet units adapted mid-battle. Megan Ford's squadron used the planet's magnetic fields to interfere with coalition sensors. Human engineers modified ships and weapons on the fly, keeping losses low while inflicting damage. Versh's reports were filled with words he had never used before: ingenuity, unpredictability, resilience. Even when coalition ships destroyed human installations, the humans responded quickly. Supply lines were rerouted, defensive positions were reinforced, and fleet movements became more sophisticated. Every attack taught them something new. Versh realized a truth that terrified him. Humans did not see defeat the way the coalition did. Losing ships, losing soldiers, losing ground, these were not failures. They were lessons. Every loss made them stronger, smarter, faster. On the planet, Alex Ramirez stood in a command center, watching a coalition cruiser retreat after a failed attack. "We survive," he said quietly. "Every time we survive, we grow. Every time they strike, we learn they cannot break us." Ethan Cole, exhausted but determined, returned from a mission. "We took some losses," he said, "but we hit them where it hurts. They are not ready for this kind of fight. We are stronger than they think." Versh felt a chill. The humans were weak in many ways, yes. They were smaller, slower, and less armed. But in will, in courage, in the ability to endure, they were unmatched. The coalition tried to push harder. They dropped heavy troops on the planet, hoping to force surrender. But humans were ready. Ground units used clever traps, ambushes, and misdirection. Civilians helped soldiers, guiding them through cities, providing food, and repairing damaged equipment. One human, Laura King, led a team that forced coalition troops into a narrow valley, where hidden squads ambushed them. Another, Michael Lee, sabotaged enemy supply lines, forcing retreat. Humans took risks, yes, but calculated risks. Every move had purpose. Versh watched in silence. The coalition's strongest ships were being delayed, misled, and forced to retreat again and again. Humans were small, fragile, and clever. They were learning faster than the coalition could respond. By the end of the second major engagement, coalition casualties were higher than expected. Ships were damaged, troops were lost, and morale was shaken. Humans had survived, learned, and adapted. Versh realized something he could not ignore. The humans were not just surviving. They were growing stronger. They were learning faster than any species he had encountered. They were dangerous in ways the coalition could not understand. "They will continue," he whispered to Trin. "Every attack will make them stronger. Every loss will teach them something new. They will not surrender. They will not break. And if we continue to fight, they will become unstoppable." The humans, meanwhile, repaired their cities, reinforced their defenses, and prepared for the next attack. Alex Ramirez walked among the volunteers, soldiers, and civilians. "Every challenge makes us stronger," he said. "Every battle teaches us. We will survive. We will endure. And one day we will win, not because we are strongest, but because we never stop." Versh stared at the planet from orbit, a cold dread filling him. He had faced many species in his career. Some had fallen quickly. Some had been clever but weak. Some had resisted and died. But humans were something else entirely. He realized finally that the humans' greatest weapon was not their ships, not their technology, and not their numbers. It was their will, their courage, their determination to survive and protect each other at any cost. Versh recorded his report. His words were careful, precise, and honest. "The humans are unpredictable. They are weak in body but strong in mind and will. Every loss they endure teaches them. Every attack they survive strengthens them. They are dangerous. More dangerous than any species we have faced. We cannot defeat them with brute force alone." He leaned back in his chair, staring at the planet below. The humans moved among the cities, repairing, organizing, preparing. They had survived impossible attacks. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger, and Versh knew something he had never admitted before. If the coalition continued to push, if the humans continued to fight, there was no telling what they might become. The storm was coming. Not a literal storm, but a war of wills, a test of courage, and a battle that would shape the galaxy. And the humans were ready. The coalition fleet returned, larger than before. Versh watched from his command deck, a sense of unease pressing on him like a weight he could not shake. The humans had survived every attack. They had adapted, learned, and grown stronger after each engagement. This time, the coalition would bring everything: ships, troops, and weapons designed to crush entire continents. Versh could see the humans below on the planet's surface. Cities glowed faintly under the rising sun. Smoke from earlier battles had long cleared, leaving streets filled with activity. Volunteers repaired buildings, soldiers prepared defenses, and citizens moved calmly, working together. They were ready. Alex Ramirez stood on a hill overlooking the northern plains, watching the approaching fleet. He was not afraid. Fear had no place in their strategy. Every human soldier, pilot, and civilian volunteer had been trained, prepared, and informed. Every loss they had faced had taught them something new. Every mistake had been corrected. "We have survived so far," Alex said to his officers. "Now we survive again, and we do not break. Remember, we fight to protect each other, not because we must. That is why we will endure." Megan Ford led her squadron into the sky. Fighters darted between clouds, weaving through defensive shields and city structures. They were small, fragile, and lightly armed, but fast, smart, and unpredictable. Each movement was calculated to confuse the coalition, force mistakes, and protect civilians. Ethan Cole flew alongside her, scanning the horizon. "They will try everything," he said, "but we know their patterns now. We can beat them not with strength, but with speed, strategy, and will." Versh observed the humans in silence. The coalition had brought its largest fleet ever against a single species. Their weapons could destroy entire cities in minutes. Their ships were massive, armored, and equipped with energy weapons powerful enough to vaporize anything. Yet the humans did not panic. They did not scatter. They prepared. The first strike came over the northern cities. Energy beams cut across the sky, leaving trails of destruction. Coalition troops landed in several districts. Civilians fled calmly, guided by soldiers into safe zones. Human engineers activated emergency shields and defensive systems, slowing the advance of the enemy. Versh's mind raced. No other species could respond so efficiently under such pressure. The humans adapted faster than he could track. Small groups of fighters struck coalition ships unexpectedly. Ground squads set traps, ambushed troops, and rerouted attacks. Even civilians acted with intelligence, moving resources, guiding soldiers, and repairing damaged equipment. One human, Laura King, led a squad of soldiers into a coalition landing zone. They lured troops into narrow streets where ambushes waited. Explosions rocked the buildings, but the humans moved carefully, avoiding unnecessary loss. Every move was precise. Every action had purpose. Another human, Michael Lee, sabotaged coalition communication systems, causing confusion in their fleet. Ships fired blindly, collided, and slowed. Humans adapted to every change in the coalition's strategy almost instantly. Versh's chest tightened. He had faced many species in war. Some had fallen easily. Some had fought bravely but lacked intelligence. Some had resisted but were quickly overwhelmed. Humans were different. They combined intelligence, speed, courage, and an unbreakable will. Alex Ramirez coordinated the defense from the command center. He spoke calmly, issuing instructions that were precise and simple. Soldiers and volunteers followed without question. Every loss they suffered taught them something new. Every attack they survived made them stronger. Ethan Cole's fighter darted across the sky, avoiding energy beams and striking weak points in coalition ships. He watched Megan Ford lead small groups of fighters to protect civilians below. Their movements were coordinated, almost instinctive. Versh realized something terrifying. The humans were not just surviving, they were improving. Every attack made them stronger. Every mistake taught them. Every loss was a lesson. The humans' greatest weapon was not their ships, not their technology, not their numbers. It was their will. The coalition attempted a massive strike at the planet's capital city. Large cruisers fired beams that cut through buildings, leveling entire blocks. Landing troops poured into the streets. The coalition believed victory was near, but the humans were ready. Civilians evacuated in organized convoys. Soldiers moved through alleys and hidden tunnels, ambushing troops and redirecting them into traps. Engineers activated energy shields over critical areas, slowing the coalition's advance. Versh watched a small human squad led by Ethan Cole stop a coalition troop advance. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and exposed, but they fought with skill, courage, and cleverness. Each move delayed the enemy, saved civilians, and disrupted the coalition's plans. Another human, Laura King, led a squad to capture a coalition control center. They did not destroy it. They did not surrender. They used it to send false information to the fleet, causing confusion and hesitation among the enemy ships. Versh felt a chill in his chest. This was no ordinary resistance. Humans did not fight for power. They did not fight for conquest. They fought to survive and to protect each other. And in that fight they were unstoppable. The coalition escalated further. They deployed their heaviest ships and most advanced weapons. Cities burned. Troops landed in waves. Coalition fleets surrounded human positions, yet the humans continued to adapt. Alex Ramirez coordinated fleet and ground defenses. Megan Ford led daring strikes against key targets. Ethan Cole and Laura King executed maneuvers that slowed the enemy, disrupted formations, and protected civilians. Every human movement was calculated. Every decision was clear. Versh realized something he had never admitted. Humans did not see defeat the way the coalition did. They did not stop, they did not panic, they did not give up. Losing ships, losing soldiers, losing ground, it was not failure, it was learning, it was growth. By the third day, the coalition realized they could not win by force alone. Ships were damaged, troops were lost, and morale dropped. The humans had survived every strike, adapted to every strategy, and learned faster than the coalition could adjust. Versh recorded his observations with trembling hands. The humans are unpredictable. They are weak in body but strong in mind and will. Every loss they endure teaches them. Every attack strengthens them. They are dangerous beyond measure. We cannot defeat them with brute force alone. Alex Ramirez watched the coalition retreat slowly. Civilians cheered quietly, volunteers repaired streets, and soldiers prepared for the next attack. They had survived the impossible. They had endured, adapted, and protected each other. Versh realized the truth that shook him to the core. Humans' greatest weapon was their courage, their endurance, their choice to continue fighting even when all seemed lost. They did not rely on strength or numbers. They relied on will. The coalition fleet finally withdrew, unable to conquer the humans. Versh remained in orbit, staring at the planet below. Cities burned in some areas, but the humans moved calmly, repairing, protecting, and preparing for the future. He could not stop thinking about the humans he had observed. Alex Ramirez, Megan Ford, Ethan Cole, Laura King, Michael Lee, and all the others. Each one showed determination, intelligence, and courage. They were ordinary in appearance, but extraordinary in action. For the first time in his long career, Versh understood true terror. Not terror of firepower, not terror of destruction, but terror of will. Terror of a species that refused to give up, that grew stronger after every attack, that protected each other above all else. The humans had survived the full force of a galaxy-spanning coalition. They had learned, adapted, and endured. And in doing so, they had revealed something terrifying. Their spirit was unbreakable. Versh wrote his final report. His words were careful, honest, and filled with awe. Only in battle with humanity did I understand real terror. They are fragile, yet unyielding. They are small, yet capable of destroying our assumptions. They are weak, yet stronger than any species we have faced. We cannot destroy them. We can only hope to survive them. He looked down at the humans once more. Children played in repaired streets. Civilians moved calmly among soldiers. Volunteers carried supplies and repaired buildings. They were alive, thriving, and unbroken. Versh realized the coalition had made a mistake. They had thought humanity would surrender, panic, or fail. They had been wrong. Humanity's strength was not in weapons, ships, or armor. Their strength was in courage, endurance, intelligence, and choice. They fight for each other, Versh whispered. Not for power, not for conquest, but for survival, and that makes them unstoppable. The humans had won not because they were strongest, but because they refused to stop. They had survived impossible odds. They had protected each other. They had learned faster, adapted faster, and endured longer than anyone could imagine. Versh leaned back, staring at the tiny blue planet. He had faced many wars, many species, many battles, but none like this. Humanity had changed the rules. Humanity had revealed a force no technology, no calculation, no army could fully control. And for the first time, Versh felt small, weak, and afraid. Not of the humans' weapons, but of their will. Not of their numbers, but of their courage. Not of their power, but of their choice to survive at all costs. The coalition withdrew, battered and humbled. The humans remained, alive, united, and unbroken. Versh recorded one final note. Only in battle with humanity did I know real terror. Not because of destruction, not because of strength, but because of their spirit. Their will is unbreakable, their courage is unmatched, and nothing in the galaxy has faced anything like them. Below him, the humans moved through their cities. They rebuilt, they prepared, and they lived. They had survived the impossible, and Versh knew with a cold certainty that the galaxy would never be the same. The humans were small, fragile, and clever. They were ordinary in appearance, yet extraordinary in action. They were weak in body, but unbreakable in will. And in that truth, Versh found the terror he could never forget.